If you're like most photographers, I think you would agree that the selling part of your business is probably not your favorite. But what if I told you in our sales room, this is where we do the least amount of selling? It's true. Stick with us, find out how we do it.
Welcome to part 3 of our studio tour. I'm going to be showing you the viewing room today. So clients come into our lobby here and we have the door partially closed because it's kind of a dramatic effect. Because when we open the door, the first thing clients see is their image large on the wall. It's like walking into a movie theater. And actually, this is our son. We've been working on his senior pictures, and we actually brought our family in here yesterday to do a viewing for him, which was super fun. Get a little light on here for you. So we have clients sit over here on the couch, which you're going to see in a minute, but I want to show you what is on our walls because we talked about showing what you want to sell and showing large. I actually have a couple of new samples coming in that are even larger than these. But one thing I want to point out is we have the same image up here, and I know that seems silly, but there's a method to our madness. We want our clients at this point to be thinking about size and the way they want to display their portrait. So we have the same image in canvas, in a torn edge mounted print, and a metal. So they can see the differences between those and they're not distracted by the images themselves. Down here, we have samples of our albums and our folio boxes. And one thing that I like to do with these, of course, we're showing different sizes, different finishes, but I like to customize our samples to the particular clients that we have coming in that day. So if I have a family coming in, I'm actually going to swap out the images in these boxes to show a family. If we have a senior girl coming in, they're going to see senior girls here. So that way they can personally relate to whatever it is that they are seeing right here in the room. Same is true with our wall art. I want clients to be able to look around the room and I want them to see something that they relate to for their session. So we have a family up here in a new grouping that we just hung today that is of one of our teen girls in formal wear. We photograph a lot of teens. And so this is going to be relatable to them. And you'll also see we have a little fridge with snacks. We have snacks on the table. We also have a little paper here that I think is kind of important to show that reminds clients that we can do financing for them. It's not something we have to say out loud, but they're sitting there seeing that during their session. And so if they start wanting to buy a lot, it kind of lets them know, okay, maybe I can afford this if I stretch payments out a little bit. Whoever is doing sales will sit here with the computer in front of them on this side, but we're still saying open to where the clients are sitting so that we don't have a desk or something that's dividing us between. But this is where the magic happens, and we are actually going to talk to you some more about 3 ways that we can get our sales even higher in this room.
Well, welcome to our theater room. It's what we call it, but for most people, it's just a sales room. And really, sales can happen anywhere you want. The whole idea is just to be meeting with your clients one-on-one to help them out. But how do you really do that without coming across as feeling salesy? Well, there's different things that we do to help the process so we don't feel like we're salespeople. One of those things is showing images to scale because we live in such a bubble as photographers. We understand what ratios and sizes and all those things mean, but we can't expect our clients to do that.
No. So showing scale in this room on the wall is so powerful for clients. But if you don't have a space where you can show scale, there's another way to do it. And it's something we do with all of our clients every time, and that is room views. doesn't have to be your client's actual walls, although I think it's helpful if it is.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But for every viewing session that we do, we are showing clients probably 4 to 5 different rooms. We show them a grouping of 4, a grouping of 3, a set of 2, and a couple different individual options, because at least it gets their juices flowing. It gets them inspired, and inevitably they fall in love with 1 or 2 of those groupings, and that gives us a place to start. So showing scale, showing people what those images could look like in their homes is really powerful.
Yep. And as Whitney said, you can do this anywhere. We choose to do it in our theater room on a 12-foot wide screen, but you can do it in a coffee shop, in their home. It doesn't matter. The whole idea is just to help your clients visualize it so they can make a very informed choice, and it keeps you from having to do sales.
Mm-hmm. The second thing that is really powerful that we do with clients is setting expectations. Now, we do this from the very first phone call that we have with clients. Like we said before, most of the selling doesn't actually happen in this room. I would venture to say probably 70% of the sale is made before we ever set foot in this room.
Definitely.
It happens on the initial phone consultation. It happens during this session when we're showing our expertise, when we are giving them an unforgettable experience. By the time they walk into this room, they're already primed and ready to go. We just have to show them the images and pick what they want.
Exactly.
But setting those expectations about, hey, this is what most people do. So for example, we say this on the phone call, we say this when they are with us in the sales room. Most senior parents will purchase something for the wall, either a single image or a grouping. Then they'll take the rest of their favorites and put those in a folio box or an album and get those matching digital files. People aren't sure what to do, especially if this is their first experience viewing portraits like this. So telling them what most people do gives them a lot of comfort, and they know, okay, well, if I do that, at least I'm doing the right thing.
Exactly. Yeah. I want to interject something real quick. Will you let me?
Really, you want to
Of
interject
course I
something?
want to. But when you make this a part of your brand, that helps remove the selling from you as well. As Whitney mentioned, when it becomes an expectation, when you've already crafted this as part of what it means to come to your studio, you don't have to sell that anymore. That's selling that's already happened long ago, whether it's on social media, your webpage, even referrals and word of mouth. When people talk about, oh yeah, this is what he does, this is the way she approaches it, then when it becomes a part of your brand, you don't have to sell that part, which I love. I don't go to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, well, really ever. But if I did go, I would not expect to get chicken tenders. It's not what they do. And having only been there once, even before I went,
And with a gift certificate.
yeah, I guess, yeah. Even having gone just once, I actually knew that before going in because they had already set that expectation. And I didn't grumble at it. It's part of what they do. It's who they are. And that's okay. Make that about you as well.
Well, and walking into your space is also setting an expectation. I mean, if you saw part one, you saw our lobby. What are we showing? Large pieces of artwork. What do you see when you walk in here to our viewing space? Large pieces of artwork, large groupings. So the expectation is set just by being in this environment and seeing what we're showing. That's why we don't want to put a matted and framed 8x10 on the wall, because people would go, oh, they're showing that's okay. That's what people do, right? No, we don't show that. Do we offer that? Do we have that?
Sure.
Yeah,
We
but
can sell it, but why?
right.
What would be the point of it? So just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something, especially if it negatively affects your brand. So don't do that. One more quick thing before we move on to point number 3.
Okay,
because
Dave, where are you going? I'm just going to drink.
No, wait a minute. What do you have in there?
It's medicinal.
So, as Whitney mentioned, when clients come in here, we want to help normalize that getting wall art is what our clients do. Again, that goes back to helping to establish our brand. But we do the same thing. Let's go back to a restaurant. If I'm going to an unfamiliar place, Whitney knows this, I will always ask the server, what are some of your favorites?
Mm-hmm.
I truly want to know that. And if the server responds, well, this is what I like, what I enjoy. If I hear something on there, probably not. But if she mentions something that is her favorite, especially if she goes a little bit deeper and says, oh, this is the cook's favorite too. Cook loves making this. Oh my goodness. You've normalized it for yourself, for everyone else that comes to that place. And now it's become normalized for me. And it took that long because it became personal.
Mm-hmm.
We do this often because, yes, we're photographers and yes, we have bigger stuff in our homes. But when we share that with our clients, that's when it really settles. Oh, you buy this for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're not just selling it because you can sell it. This is what you do as well. Well, it makes all the difference.
Yeah. Can we move on?
See, was that good?
That was good. That was
good.
good.
I thought it was good.
Well, I want to keep talking about the whole restaurant thing because our next point is about your pricing. Because what does everybody need to do with their pricing right now?
What everyone needs to do with their pricing
Yes.
is to reevaluate it first.
Well, is to simplify it.
Well, that too.
I mean, you were talking about a restaurant, and we always laugh about Cheesecake Factory because we go to the Cheesecake Factory.
And we love it.
And it's great. And the menu is this thick. It's like a binder. You have to go through over. And what do you end up getting every time?
I get the same thing I got last time.
Same thing. Even though you take your time, you look through it, you think about all the different things, but it's so overwhelming that you go back to what you know, which is the burger, and I get the flatbread, and it's delicious, but we never venture out because we never quite feel confident enough in that.
And typically, because that place offers so much, if I do ask the server, they'll typically respond, well, everything's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's not helpful.
Not helpful.
Come on. Our clients are no different. Your clients are no different. You really have to narrow your focus down, offer the things that you love. Again, could you offer more? Yes. But should you? And after going to imaging, and if you go to the expo, you will see so much wonderful stuff. Yes, you could offer it all, but you shouldn't offer it all. Curate things down. Like I said in the first video, we've been doing this together for 17 years. And truly, after every session, we ask ourselves, what went right? What went wrong? What were some of the barriers our clients had? What were some of the struggles that they had in choosing? And we evaluate, could we have done something different? Or maybe it's our pricing or our product offering that's causing a hiccup that we need to eliminate, because we want this process to be smooth, not just for the client, but for ourselves. Because again, we don't really enjoy selling. We want to instead be a friend to our clients and offer them things that we know that they would love. That's
we want
the difference.
To guide them through the experience and make it easy. We don't want them to look back on this and say, oh, that was so stressful. We want them to say, that was so fun, and hold their hand and walk them through very, very easily the process of weeding down their portraits and figuring out what they love and educating them on how to make those decisions, helping them do that. So pricing, let's stay on that. 3 things. And of course, we could go into the psychology of pricing very deep. We could spend hours on it. We have in other courses.
Yeah, actually a pre-con class at imaging if you want to come to it.
But 3 numbers that are really helpful to know when you're figuring out your pricing. Number 1 is you need to know what you want your average to be. And I know you're like, well, how do I figure that out? You know what number you need to live, right? You know how many sessions you want to do in a year and how much money you need to make. And that should be where you figure out that average. Not only knowing what that number needs to be, but what specific products do you want to sell that add up to that average? We know for us, an average sale would be a 30-inch portrait and a mid-sized folio box or album. So everything that we do, the way we structure our pricing, the way we structure the narrowing down of portraits and the selling, is all directed toward that average. Now, do people buy more? Do people buy less? Yes. But do the majority buy the average amount? Yes. That's exactly what we want.
And that's a number that you've got to be happy with. And our number is going to be different than your number.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, you're going to need to put on your left brain ball cap and start critically thinking about your product offering, your pricing, and what would it take to get that sale that you would be happy with. If you sell more, wonderful. That's fantastic. But you need that baseline to hit.
Mm-hmm. Second number you need to know is, what's an acceptable minimum?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm guessing that 0 is not an acceptable minimum for you. So if a client came in and you had spent X amount of time with them, what could they leave with that's what you have to just make up for the time that you have spent with them?
Yeah.
And that's your bottom line. And that's the number you need to shoot for. Like when you're setting up your pricing, make sure that a client cannot leave happily without spending at least that amount. For us, that would be the lowest, probably the bottom size wall portrait, because that means a client's getting one image. And there's not a client that we have that's going to be happy unless they get at least one image,
Yeah.
right? So
because that's
really
on us when we photograph, going back to the whole experience thing. If we do such a good job, well, it's on them now.
Right. Right.
Now, we want to make their choices hard because they want more, not because they're like, oh, I don't know what to get.
And we want to be nice about it. We're like, we're here to help you.
Yep.
Hard choices, not our fault.
Sorry,
not sorry.
You took such good pictures. Sorry, you're so pretty. Not our fault. Yeah.
The third number is that high number, that dream sale number. And actually, that doesn't need to be a number at all, but you need to make sure that you are not capping your sales.
Yep.
You need to make sure that the top end of your pricing is open enough that people can spend and spend and spend, and there's no limit to it. It's a mistake we see photographers make a lot, is that they will create packages, and they'll have a package that has so much in it that people can buy it and be happy and leave, and they're capping their sales.
Yep.
So we need to make sure that we are not doing that.
Exactly. And as a side note, don't emotionally cap your sale. Because I know a lot of you, because we've talked to you before, are sitting here thinking, oh, I just feel bad if they spend that much.
I wanted to have everything.
Yeah, or I wouldn't spend that much.
No.
Guys, remember this. Don't take away your client's joy. If they find joy in spending a lot because they love what you've done and what you're providing them, then celebrate with your client. That's the most honorable thing you can do. Okay?
Yeah.
You feel scolded now? You should. Don't take away your client's joy.
Well, I hope this has been helpful for you. This is how we use our viewing room to increase our bottom line. So I hope you've been able to take some things from this time.
Yeah, we've got one more session after this. But before we go to session number 4, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll see you soon.